All right, I think we're ready to get going. First of all, thank you everyone for coming out. This is going to be a really fun night. So welcome to the inaugural YPN Talk Speaker Series event at Ben Franklin Place here in Ottawa. My name is James Sabrin. For those of you who don't know me, I worked at corporate finance at the City of Ottawa for the past 3 years, and I'll be your MC for the night. Also, I'm an executive committee member for the Young Professionals Network. So we're here tonight to spread fresh ideas on municipal finance. Basically, through this educational event, you'll get the unique opportunity to network with young and tenured professionals from across Ontario. You like that, eh? So our ultimate goal here tonight is basically to shed perspective on the diverse field that is municipal finance. And we're going to be doing that through our series of speakers with topics ranging from performance measurement, assessment-based management, change management, risk assessment and fraud awareness, and accrual-based budgeting and municipal accountability. So what we're going to do here tonight is our speakers will present back to back, right till 5:30. We won't have time for an intermission, unfortunately, and depending on how much time we have, we may not have time for questions. If that's the case, we're going to encourage you guys to go outside after 5:30 and network out in the atrium, or if you want to go over to the Royal Oak and try to seek out those speakers and ask those questions in person. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, will be Wade Washington, giving his talk, What is Performance Measurement? Wade graduated from Trent University in 2008 before obtaining a CMA designation in 2012. He has 3 years of private experience before coming to the City of Ottawa, and now has 3 years experience as a financial analyst in central accounting. Wade was also a YPN executive member last year. So please put your hands together and welcome Wade Washington.
Check, check, here we go. Okay, thanks James, and thanks to all of you for coming, first thing. I think it's a great initiative that's going on in terms of trying to share ideas in what is municipal finance. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and attend. As James mentioned, I was part of the group last year that tried to pull the strings and put together a few events. We were not as successful as the current year's steering committee is, so congratulations to you guys for what you've done so far, and thanks for having me. So I'm going to talk to you guys a bit today about what is performance measurement, and it's a bit of a broad topic. It can range through a lot of things, but I'm going to talk to you specifically with regards to municipal finance. Going forward, what is performance measurement? Well, formally, its description is to collect, analyze, and report on data. Now, that can range from private sector, public sector, your personal life. For example, you do it on a daily basis, whether it's your commute to work. Well, was the bus slow? Was it fast? Was the highway quicker? Was baseline quicker? How was my gas mileage? These sort of things are just basic evaluative questions on the performance of any sort of system, program, series of processes. Any sort of evaluative process could be considered performance measurement. For example, all of us who follow sports, that is probably the most obvious method of performance measurement. Their stats up the yin-yang with regards to points per game, stats against other teams, benchmarking against other years. So I'm just trying to paint the picture of what is performance measurement. There are a few tools in place that we currently use in the City of Ottawa and across the province. And I'm going to highlight a few of those today. With regards to the municipal context, what are some of the services that we provide as a municipality? Well, it's very broad. Anything from drinking water to wastewater to protective services to social housing. There are several things that municipalities are legislated to provide. When we take the idea of a corporation, we usually think of private sector. Okay, so they have an array of performance measurement tools, from balanced scorecard, key performance indicators, to earnings per share, profit, analyst expectations, the stock market. All these things are evaluating the performance of a corporation or of an organization. So how do you do that on the municipal level? Well, that's a good question, and that's what I'm going to speak to you about today. So moving forward, drinking water, as well as this picture here will show another one of the city's responsibilities in terms of services to provide. Now, at the most basic level, municipalities are meant to provide essential services to citizens. So roads, water, as I said, all those issues. And we evaluate it really on the most basic sense of, can I perform my daily tasks without noticing the fact of municipal services? Can I drive to work? Do the traffic lights work? Is my water clean? Do the buses get in accidents? Do the roads stay together? And these are the types of things that we'll look at and how they're evaluated across the province. So these are the 3 tools that are currently in place across the province in terms of ways to analyze, collect, and report on different programs of municipal services. And I'm going to speak to each one in detail. As we were just prepping, Scott said, there's got to be an acronym going on here for municipal performance measurement. And I said, you know what, Scott, little do you know, there it is, the MPMP program. That's one of the drivers of the other programs. So I'll speak to those in detail. What are those things? Well, let's find out. The FIR is the main area that the province collects on data from municipalities. So there's over 400 municipalities in Ontario, and they use a standard template to collect data on a city's activities in the current year. So that can be anything from revenues to expenses to development charges to deferred revenue to your kilometers of water pipes, or anything in detail is in the FIR. So this is prepared by typically the central accounting unit, at least in the city of Ottawa, that's the case. And we prepare this data and we submit it to the province by May 31st annually. Now, this is more of a, like I said, a report card rather than a performance measurement tool. Yes, you can take the time to compare year over year and category to category, but it's not meant to be a specific performance measurement tool rather than a reporting tool that the province collects data on, which I think is really important. I mean, in terms of the provincial government and federal governments having information on what the municipalities are doing, I think this is key. I mean, the system doesn't work without this sort of detail and the amount of detail we provide to go back to the provincial government. And part of the FIR is, as Scott was so eagerly wanting to know, the MPMP program, Municipal Performance Measurement Program. So these are a few schedules that are included in the remaining pages or the last documents of the FIR that takes the total of the total service areas and it provides a efficiency or effectiveness measure. So efficiency measures are usually in terms of dollars, the cost of whatever the service is, or the cost per capita, something like that. Whereas effectiveness measures are the amount or the number, for example, the number of violent crimes per 1,000 people. That would be a measure that is reported on in the MPMP program. So this is, again, done by all municipalities and reported to the provincial government. And that all rolls up into this major tool, which is the Ontario Municipal Benchmarking Initiative. OMBI is what it's known by. I'm sure you've heard of it, and I'm sure you get requests from your friends in the accounting unit for information relating to the OMBI program. But what the OMBI is it takes the FIR and details from the FIR and extracts more data. So the MPMP program is roughly 54 measures of effectiveness and efficiency. And the OMBI program states that it's over 850 measures across 37 service areas. So it's a lot more detail. One of the main differences is that the OMBI includes other areas of government that aren't a direct service to external citizens. For example, roads paved is a direct service to external citizens, whereas something like purchasing isn't a direct service. It's an indirect service, but OMBI includes details on indirect services as well. So a few years ago, all the municipalities in Ontario, 17 in total, decided that, you know what, let's put together some benchmarking initiatives. Just like we have, I like to use the sports analogy, just like we have leagues and stats, we should have the same for municipal government. So this is the driver. This is it, OMBI. And what it does, it uses a lot more detail. So for the example of police services, in terms of the FIR, it would report total cost, and it would be something like the MPMP equivalent would be total cost per citizen. So you take the total cost, divide the number of citizens, boom, there's your stat. This one would add a bit more detail in terms of the violent crimes per citizen, the cost of police officers per citizen, the nonviolent crimes. How many nonviolent offenses does each police officer deal with? I mean, this is the type of detail that goes into to provide a bit more context in terms of what the actual municipalities are doing. So it's a good tool. It takes some detail, but it is a good tool. And this is in place across the province. So this is done with some of the major municipalities. So, for example, here's a quick visual. I just got the time there. Here's a quick visual of what the OMBI stat sheet would look like. So here is total cost of police services per capita. It provides a bit of context. So it says what it is, and then there's a few notes below that add some text. What is police services, transport, da, da, da. So here's an example. And this is across all of the, I guess, 37 service areas. So what is good performance measurement? Just really quickly, it must provide context. It must have some additional information, as numbers can just be quite confusing. So a bit of text, not too much text, but a bit of text. And it should have, ideally, some comparative data. So prior year or another municipality or some sort of comparative to give you context. And if not, you will be a little puzzled like this gentleman trying to understand the detail. So I didn't have enough time to go into detail of what this quote should represent, but let's read it. A good hockey player goes where the player is. A great hockey player goes where the puck is going to be. And that's really what I'm thinking about in terms of municipal finance, forward-thinking indicators in OMBI. So we report on the prior year's data. Should we not be reporting on future year's data? The scheduled amount of construction projects over the next 5 years, or the debt servicing costs over the next 10 years. These are items that are reported on, but they're not compared across the province. So that may be something going forward. But that's all I have for today, and thanks so much.
Thank you, Wade. Let's give a warm applause for Wade. So I think Wade brings up some good points about the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. And if we can think of, in a finance context, we can think of maybe our accounts payable department. So what would be some good efficiency measures for accounts payable? Would that be maybe cost per invoice? But also we have to balance against that with effectiveness measures. So maybe it's not the amount of invoices that, more invoices is better to drive down the cost, but maybe we should be shifting things from, say, invoices to P-cards. So there's always a fine balance between, as Wade mentioned, effectiveness and efficiency.